Alright, today I'm going to review the SmallRig multifunctional portable SSD, which SmallRig kindly sent me for free in exchange of making this video. And also today I'm going to use my Osmo Pocket 4P as my main talking head camera, because unfortunately my main camera, the Sony ZV-E1, is getting repaired at the moment. I had some issues with the battery door and also the SD card slot. So for the meantime, until I get my camera back, I'm going to use either this camera or my Luna Ultra as my main talking head camera basically in the studio. So hopefully the image quality is sufficient. Anyhow, let's talk about the price of this SSD. So this SSD has two storage options. The first one is 1 terabyte, which is what I have in here. And there is also an option for 2 terabytes if you want to. And the price for the 1 terabyte option is $300. And then for the 2 terabyte option, it's $550. Now I know this is pretty expensive, but unfortunately this is the world we live in 2026. Everything gets more expensive, especially when it comes to like storage and RAM devices, right? Because of the AI servers and so on. So everything is more expensive when it comes to like SSD drives, hard drives, and so on. Like for example, my Samsung T7 Shield 2 terabytes that I bought like 4 or 5 years ago for $200 is now about $400, so pretty much double the price. So everything gets more expensive, and that's why this SSD also is pretty expensive at the same time. All right, moving on to design. First of all, the build quality of this is fantastic. Everything is made of metal and feels extremely solid and premium. And it is also pretty slim and lightweight, as you can see. Only 109 grams basically, which is pretty lightweight in my opinion, considering you get like magnets in here, SD card slots, and also a couple of other ports at the same time. And then when it comes to the magnets, they are extremely strong. I'm gonna mount this on my iPhone with a case. Nothing is really moving around. And if you are using like an Arca Swiss MagSafe adapter like myself, this one is also actually from SmallRig. I highly recommend to use this one if you want to easily mount your phone on a tripod that uses like Arca Swiss mechanism. So if you're going to mount this on your phone like so, you'll also be able to mount this SSD on the back without any issues. It will like start moving around, as you can see, but it's not gonna go anywhere basically. It's gonna stay in place without any problems. All right, now let's take a look at the ports. First of all, here in the back, you have the output port. This is where you're going to plug this SSD to your phone, computer, tablet, and so on. Then on the side, you have an input PD port. This is only for charging. So you'll be able to basically plug this SSD to your phone and charge it at the same time, but you will not be able to plug an extra SSD or an extra accessory through this port. It's only for charging basically. And then of course, in here you have an SD card slot and also a micro SD card slot at the same time. And I'm happy to say that the mechanism of these SD card slots is springy. So it's very satisfying to put an SD card and take it out. Same thing goes for the micro SD card slot. Spring loaded. Very satisfying to put it in. Basically take it out. Now, why it's important to have SD card slots directly in the SSD? Well, this is mainly helpful if you want to quickly back up your camera's SD card to your SSD as quickly and conveniently as possible. For example, this is what I was using before to basically back up my SD card to my Samsung T7 Shield SSD. So I would have like a hub in here from Hajibis. I've made a whole video about this. You can watch it somewhere around here. It's a pretty cool hub. You can plug the USB-C cable to my iPhone, and then I take another USB-C cable, plug it in here, and then this is basically for my SSD drive, and then I can take my SD card basically and plug it in here. And now through the iPhone, I'll be able to back up my SD card directly to the SSD basically. As you can see, this is not a terrible setup. It is fairly compact. It's not too bulky in my personal opinion, but it can't compete with something like this. Just plug this thing, take the cable, plug it like so to your phone, and then you take your SD card, put the SD card inside, and that's basically it. Much more convenient and compact than something like this. Now, when it comes to the transfer speeds of this SSD, I got really good results. I basically plugged it directly to my MacBook and I used the Blackmagic disk speed test application. And I got actually faster transfer speeds than with my Samsung T7 Shield SSD. I feel like this is as fast as you can go with a 10 gigabits per second port, if you will. So it is extremely fast when it comes to the transfer speeds. And when using the SD card slot or the micro SD card slot, with the SD card slot you get roughly UHS 1 transfer speeds. I try to use a UHS 2 card with this SD card slot and I got roughly UHS 1 transfer speed. So it is not UHS 2 transfer speeds, unfortunately, but then also it would cause more overheating issues. But then the micro SD card slot is slightly quicker than the actual SD card slot. I used like some SanDisk Extreme Pro micro SD card and I got slightly faster speeds than my UHS 2 Pro grade SD card, basically. Right, and now I have the SSD plugged to my iPhone with an SD card and also a micro SD card. And let me just show you how the backup function works basically with your iPhone if you have an iPhone. All right, so here I am on my iPhone. Basically, I have the SmallRig 1 terabyte SSD in here with two folders. One is micro SD and the other one is SD. Both of them are empty. But basically, I'm gonna try to back up the micro SD and SD card at the same time to show you if it works. And in the SD card in here and also the micro SD, I have the same files. All of these files are about 10 gigabytes. 10.05 gigabytes, as you can see. So let me try to back this up. This is from the SD card, as you can see. I'm gonna select all of these, click copy, go to my SmallRig SSD, go to the SD, and then click paste. And here you can see how fast it transfers the files. As you can see, it goes pretty quickly. Sometimes it will start slightly slower and then it will start going quicker, but that's not a limitation of the SSD. It's just how iOS works, unfortunately. But then you can also kind of close this, go to your micro SD, and also select all of these files, copy, then go to the SmallRig SSD, open the micro SD card folder, and then paste everything in here. And now it's gonna wait basically for the first transfer to finish, and then it's gonna start going quicker also with the micro SD card. And as you can see, it works pretty quickly. Obviously, this is not UHS 2 speeds, unfortunately, but then that will cause more overheating issues. So I'm totally fine with UHS 1 speeds as long as I have everything basically in one device, which makes it extremely more convenient to use, especially when traveling and so on. All right, so as you can see, transferring files from the SD card or micro SD card directly to the SSD is fairly easy and convenient if you're using an iPhone. And finally, I just want to mention that if you are going to film with your iPhone in ProRes 42 HQ, you won't have any issues with this SSD. I tried 4K 120p, 4K 25p and didn't have any issues. I actually got my phone to overheat and then it stopped recording, but the SSD drive didn't have any problems to deal with the speeds of ProRes 42 HQ basically. So you'll be safe if you are using ProRes 42 HQ recording with your iPhone basically. To summarize, I think if you're looking for a simple solution to back up your SD cards directly to an SSD basically, and also if you want to use the SSD with your iPhone to record in ProRes 42 HQ, this is definitely a fantastic option. Yes, it is not cheap, but it is very versatile, compact, slim, lightweight with fantastic build quality, and everything just works. It is super simple to use. The transfer speeds are fairly fast and it is extremely convenient when traveling basically. So if you are interested in this, I'm going to leave links for it down below. Thank you for watching and thank you SmallRig for sending this over for a review on my channel. Anyhow, bye bye.